So let us draw the skull that we have just now seen the photograph of. So here is your outer table, and here you have the external occipital protuberance. Here is the inner table, the internal crest of the frontal bone, and here you have the internal occipital protuberance. Here you have the lesser wing of the sphenoid, the antioclinoid process, the tuberculum sali here, and the lesser wing of sphenoid. Here you have the petrous temporal bone, the posterior clinoid process, and the petrous temporal bone here. So you have the anterior cranial fossa, the middle cranial fossa, and the posterior cranial fossa. Now then, the anterior cranial fossa, the foramen cecum, the crista galli, the cribriform plate, having passage to the first nerve, the olfactory nerve, the anterior and posterior ethmoidal foramen, which connect the anterior cranial fossa to under the orbital plate of the frontal bone, which is marked by sulci and gyri. So the nasociliary nerve, which lies in the orbit, gives the anterior ethmoidal nerve, which comes into the anterior cranial fossa and through this into the nose. Now this is the lesser wing of the sphenoid, and this is the jugum sphenoidale, and on this side you have the optic foramen of the anterior clinoid process. On this side you have the superior orbital fissure. Then jugum sphenoidale, tuberculum sali, sella turcica, dorsum sali. So this is the midline. Now this is the greater wing of the sphenoid, which there is a side of the sphenoid where you have the cavernous sinus. Cavernous sinus lies here, and here you have foramen rotundum passing the fifth nerve, foramen ovale passing the male, the mandibular nerve, the accessory meningeal artery, the lesser superficial pectoral nerve, and imagery vein. Then you have the foramen spinosum passing the middle meningeal artery, and this middle meningeal artery gets injured in this area, which is the pterion, and is responsible for extradural hemorrhage. So you go extradurally, and if you plug the foramen spinosum, you stop this hemorrhage. Then you have a tegmen tympani and a trigeminal impression like this. This tegmen tympani, if it ruptures, then the pus in the mastoidoid cells in chronic suppurative otitis media reach in the middle cranial fossa and can form a temporal lobe abscess. In this trigeminal impression, you have the trigeminal ganglion of the fifth nerve, which lies in this trigeminal impression. So then we start talking of, this finishes the middle cranial fossa. Here we are looking at a section of the cavernous sinus. Here is the body of the sphenoid, the sella turcica, in which is lying the pituitary, and there is a meningeal roof which has a hole in between. This is called as diaphragma sali. It is a diaphragma sali, and this diaphragma sali has a hole in the center through which the pituitary neck passes, and the body lies in the sella turcica. And here is the sphenoidal air sinus. You can use it to go into the pituitary through the nose. So if you want to do a hypophysectomy or you want to implant yttrium into the sella turcica, you can go through the nose, through the sphenoid. So this is the cavernous sinus, and in the cavernous sinus, I'll want you to remember that there is a carotid artery. This carotid artery, there is a foramen lacerum here. Here is the carotid canal. So the carotid artery enters through this carotid canal, passes like this, and then enters through the foramen lacerum. So it enters here, passes like this, enters through the foramen lacerum, has a F-shaped course, in the cavernous sinus, and goes into the between the two cerebral hemispheres and in the middle cerebral region, like this. Then you have the two foramen here, which are called as the hiatus of the lesser and greater superficial petrosal nerve. So what passes through the superior orbital fissure? Third, fourth, fifth A, sixth nerve, superior, inferior, ophthalmic vein, and then you remember lacrimal branch of meningeal artery and meningeal branch of lacrimal artery. So that passes through the superior orbital fissure. What passes through foramen rotundum? Fifth B, maxillary nerve. Foramen ovale, fifth C, mandibular nerve. Foramen spinosum, middle meningeal artery. All right, now we have passed the sixth nerve and we come into this cavernous sinus, and here we say O Tom. So besides the internal carotid is the sixth nerve, the abducent nerve, but here it is oculomotor, trochlear, that is third and fourth, ophthalmic is fifth A, and maxillary is fifth B. So oculomotor, trochlear, ophthalmic, maxillary. So these are the nerves that pass through the cavernous sinus. Now if the cavernous sinus, the carotid artery ruptures into the cavernous sinus, then the venous blood here starts pulsating. And as the cavernous sinus is connected to the superior and inferior ophthalmic veins, the eyeball starts pulsating like this with the carotid pulse. And this is called as pulsating exophthalmos. Then we go to the posterior cranial fossa, we place the foramen magnum, we have the anterior hypoglossal canal through which passes the 12th nerve, we have the internal acoustic meatus through which passes the 7th and the 8th nerve, and we have the jugular foramen on the two sides, in which lies the inferior petrosal sinus. This is the inferior petrosal sinus. And we have the transverse sinus becoming the sigmoid sinus, like this. And both form the internal jugular vein. In the middle part of the internal jugular foramen is the 9th, 10th and 11th nerve. 9th, 10th, 11th. So, first nerve, cribriform plate. Second nerve, optic foramen. Third, fourth, fifth, A, and sixth nerve, superior orbital fissure. Foramen rotundum, maxillary. Foramen ovale, mandibular, accessory meningeal artery, lesser superficial petrosal nerve, imaginary vein. Foramen spinosum, middle meningeal artery. These two small foramen lacerum, internal carotid artery enters. These two small foramen on the tegmen tympani are the hiatus of the greater and lesser superficial petrosal nerve. All right. Then 7th and 8th through the internal acoustic meatus, 9th, 10th, 11th through the internal jugular through the jugular foramen, and the hypoglossal nerve through the foramen magnum through the anterior hypoglossal canal. So 12th is here. So this finishes the basis cranii interna. We are talking about the base of the skull from inside. So you see, this is the outer table of the skull, and you have the outer table and the inner table. In the center you have the diploe. Any vein that pierces through this is called as the imaginary vein, and it pierces through an imaginary foramen. Any vein that ends in the diploe and doesn't pierce it is called as the diploic vein. Here you have the sinus. Here you have the frontal sinus, which is the cause of pain. So this is the forehead, and this frontal bone sends two horizontal plates like this, which roof the orbit. So they floor the anterior cranial fossa and they roof the orbit. So they separate the anterior cranial fossa from the orbit. This is the frontal crest. Here you have a foramen, which is called as the foramen cecum. Cecum means it is a blind foramen, it's not actually a foramen. Then you have a projection in the center, which is called as the crista galli. And this plate that you see is the cribriform plate. It is the horizontal plate of the ethmoid bone. And between this horizontal plate of the ethmoid bone and the orbital plate of the frontal bone, you have these foramen, which are the anterior, and there is a posterior ethmoidal foramen. So if anything goes out from this foramen, it goes out from the anterior cranial fossa to under the frontal plate, orbital plate of the frontal bone, and therefore into the orbit. Remember this anterior and posterior ethmoidal foramen. Now on the orbital plate you find that there are these gyri and sulci. These are these gyri and sulci, and the posterior part of this anterior cranial fossa is bounded by this lesser wing of sphenoid. So this bone here is the sphenoid bone. This is the sphenoid bone, and this is the lesser wing of sphenoid. So it starts from this plate like this, winds round and ends into anterior clinoid process. It is joined by the orbital plate, so you see a suture here, and the suture goes like this, and then goes into a beak type projection, which is called as jugum sphenoidale. Now you remember, this is jugum sphenoidale, this is lesser wing of sphenoid. From the jugum sphenoidale, if we go back, you have a bulge here. This is called as tuberculum sali. Then you have a hollow here, which is called as sella turcica. And then you have a saddle. Sella means saddle. And this is the dorsal part of the saddle, which is called as dorsum sali. So jugum sphenoidale, tuberculum sali, sella turcica, dorsum sali. Now as this lesser wing ends in the anterior clinoid process, you have a foramen on the medial side of it, which is the optic foramen, and you have a foramen on the lateral side of it, which is the superior orbital fissure. All right. The optic foramen passes the optic nerve. The superior orbital fissure passes the third, fourth, fifth A and sixth nerve. Third, oculomotor, fourth, trochlear, fifth A, ophthalmic, and fifth B, fifth A and fifth B is maxillary. Oculomotor, trochlear, ophthalmic, and maxillary. These are the nerves that lie in the cavernous sinus here, but it passes the third, the fourth, and the fifth A, the ophthalmic nerve. Then it passes the superior inferior ophthalmic veins, and it passes the lacrimal branch of the meningeal and the meningeal branch of the lacrimal artery. As we try to draw it out, we'll revise this again. On this, so this finishes the anterocranial fossa. Internal crest, foramen cecum, crista galli, cribriform plate, orbital plate of the frontal bone, and the lesser wing of the sphenoid, the jugum sphenoidale, the tuberculum celli, the sella turcica, and the dorsum celli. The anticlinoid process, optic foramen, and supraorbital fissure on the middle cranial fossa side. Then we come to the middle cranial fossa. Now this middle cranial fossa, center is jugum sphenoidale, tuberculum celli, sella turcica, dorsum celli, and then we have a greater wing. And between the greater wing and the lesser wing, you have the supraorbital fissure. All right. Supraorbital fissure passes the third nerve and the fourth nerve and the sixth nerve. And the fifth A, the ophthalmic. 3, 4, 5A and 6. It passes the superior inferior ophthalmic veins, and it passes the lacrimal branch of the meningeal and meningeal branch of the lacrimal artery. Then you have a foramen here, which is foramen rotundum, and this foramen passes the maxillary nerve. Then you have the foramen ovale. Male passes through the foramen ovale, and the male is mandibular nerve, accessory meningeal artery, lesser superficial petrosal nerve, and imaginary vein. Then you have a foramen spinosum behind it. This foramen spinosum passes the middle meningeal artery. The middle meningeal artery climbs like this, and it is responsible for extradural hemorrhage. Then you have a foramen lacerum here. It passes, from it enters the internal carotid artery. Here is the carotid canal. The internal carotid artery enters here. It passes through a F-shaped course on the lateral side of the body of sphenoid, lying in the cavernous sinus, and divides into the middle cerebral artery, which goes like this, and the anterior cerebral artery, which passes between the two cerebral hemispheres. Then we go on to this slope-like area, which is passing from the petrous part of the temporal bone. This ridge is petrous part of the temporal bone. Here you have the tegmen tympani, and this tegmen tympani houses two foramens, the hiatus for the greater and superficial petrosal nerve. On this side lies the trigeminal ganglion, or this is the trigeminal impression. Then we come behind. This is the dorsum celli. Here you have the posterior clinoid processes, and here you have the ridge of the petrous bone. As this petrous bone reaches the medial side, it has a notch, and that it sort of ends in the posterior clinoid process. So this is the notch, and you have a ligament connecting the anterior clinoid process and a tubercle here, which is called as the petrosphenoid ligament of Guber. Underneath you have the inferior petrosal sinus, which ends in the jugular foramen. And in this inferior petrosal sinus, which opens into the cavernous sinus here, you have the abducent nerve, the sixth nerve, arising from the pons here, passing through this inferior petrosal sinus, which is called as canal of Torella, bending under this ligament, petrosphenoid ligament of Guber, and this bend is called the bend of Wolf, and then passing like this into the supraorbital fissure on the lateral side of the internal carotid artery. And this abducent nerve, as the midbrain goes down in head injuries, this is bent at this point, and at this point it is stretched, and you have the paralysis of the sixth nerve. The lateral rectus of the eye is paralyzed, and it is seen by the doll's eye movement. So much to this bend of Wolf. Now we come to the posterior cranial fossa. Here you have the dorsum sedi. Here you have the internal acoustic meatus through which passes the 7th and the 8th nerve. Here you can see the occipital condyles which articulate the atlas. Here you have the anterior and posterior hypoglossal canal. Hypoglossal nerve is the 12th nerve and it passes through the anterior hypoglossal canal. Then you have the jugular foramen. The inferior potrosal sinus comes from anterior side. The transverse sinus, becoming the sigmoid sinus, goes from the posterior side. Both meet and form the internal jugular vein. Through the middle part of the external jugular foramen passes the 9th, 10th and 11th nerve. So, the first nerve passes through the cribriform plate. The second nerve through the optic foramen. The third, fourth, fifth A and sixth through the superiorbital fissure. So the olfactory nerve, the first nerve through the cribriform plate, the second nerve through the optic foramen, the third, fourth, fifth A and sixth nerve through the superiorbital fissure, the fifth B through the foramen rotundum, the fifth C, the mandibular nerve through the foramen ovale, the sixth nerve, I have told you, passes through this. The 7th and the 8th nerve passes through the internal acoustic meatus. The 9th, 10th and 11th through the jugular foramen. And the hypoglossal nerve of the 12th nerve through the anterior hypoglossal canal through the foramen magnum. So these are the nerves that pass and you will have to remember it. Now we'll try to draw this so that you can revise the basis cranii interna.